Well, hi there. How you guys doing today? I brought with me one of the most exciting snakes I have. I don't feel like his colors come across well.
It looks pretty beautiful.
Over the
screen. Look in real life. I guess in real life he's a bit more purple.
Yeah, he's got a little more purple, and if he fires up and down,
See him
as snakes do. And so sometimes he looks particularly glorious. One thing that I've been really examining, I wanted to get your impression. Look at his eyes. Aren't they incredible? They're like the deepest blue ever.
Yeah.
Look at these eyes.
I realized I don't on my phone. Sometimes Jason needs to text me.
I guess he's on his own. But how are you guys doing today? So this is a super banana male ball python, and this is, assuming you have the snakes, this is one of the most difficult. Two genes. It's a homozygote for the banana gene. It's one of the most difficult ones you could possibly produce because of the weirdness of banana. One of our first videos was actually explaining what makes banana so weird. But the thing is, in order to get a super banana, you need a male banana and a female banana, and that's harder to get than you would expect. It's harder than for most things. So if you'd like for me to explain that later, let me know. But I really, really love this snake. He's so beautiful and so much fun, and I'm excited to get him involved in some of my breeding projects. Yeah, he's a super banana.
So he won't get spots.
He'll never get spots. That's one of the things with the super bananas. They don't get the spots that the heterozygous bananas get. Anyway, they're stinking rad.
And you can see his legs really well.
Yeah, and
this white color.
Yeah, check out those snake legs.
Am I getting it good enough?
Kind of. Yeah. You see those little leggies? Aren't those glorious? This, by the way, is not my super exciting thing, but if you guys like, I would be happy to explain why this snake is so hard to produce later on. I've actually thought about making a whole video about it.
Yeah.
So let me know what you think about that. If you want a whole video explaining it, or if you want me to try to do it in the live stream, maybe we could do both. Anyway, it's stinking rad and super exciting, and I love that snake, and I'm super duper excited about him. Because I love banana. Super banana is even cooler.
Yeah.
And the things he can do. Amazing.
And his pattern is still fairly normal. Which is
cool.
Cool.
Banana doesn't seem to change the pattern of the snake.
He still has the key holes all over.
At all. It just changes the colors.
Beautiful color. And you're right. In the camera, like, he looks more grayish. In real life, there's a lot of purple tones.
And some oranges, yellows.
Yeah.
I love him. I'm so excited about him. Anyway, super banana. But I wanted to talk to you guys also. I wanted to say thank you to all of you who've been supporting Dave Kaufman. I want to see the most up-to-date numbers on Mr. Kaufman, because it is an outrage and a shock to the universe that he does not have 100,000 subscribers. But he's getting close. And yesterday I made a post in the community tab trying to see if we could get him. He was at 98,400 subscribers. That was yesterday. And today, so far, he's at 98,900. So he's gained 500 subscribers. Since then, we were only 1,100 away. Can we do it? How many do you think? Do you think we can get him up to 99,000 before the end of this live stream?
I don't know, maybe.
That would be the greatest. So anyway, if you can, get over to Dave Kaufman's Reptile Adventures and subscribe, because he's awesome. If you've never seen his videos before, you're missing out on something glorious and wonderful. And do it. And this is one difference. So Brian Cusco is another person who needs more love on his channel.
Yep.
But one big advantage to Dave is, to my knowledge, Dave never drinks his pee. Also, I've never known him to pee in a jar under a table while talking to us. Never known any of that stuff to happen. Dave tends to pee pretty much like a normal human being.
Well, as far as you know, he is Sasquatchy, so maybe there's some.
Yeah, I don't know. So anyway, if you talk to Dave, you could ask him some follow-up questions about his bathroom habits, but I don't know if it's worth doing.
Brian's a good guy.
Brian is one of the just best human beings I've ever met in my life.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful that I've gotten to know him really over this last year. I think the first time I ever saw him face to face was at Tinley. And the first time I ever talked to him was the first time Dave came out here to visit us, and I talked to him on the phone. But since then, like, I mean, it's easy to be fast friends.
Yeah, he's a really sincere, genuine guy. Asks good questions about you, and just is a sweetie.
I honestly can't imagine what the person would be like that doesn't like Brian.
Yeah.
They'd be a monster.
Game of Morph says Brian did it for the animals.
Yes, he did. He did it for US Ark, so it was selfless.
So did you watch the video?
No, I'm not going to watch Brian do that to himself. Too much respect for Brian.
Oh, dear.
It is possible to donate to US Ark without requiring Brian to drink any urine. Just something I'm throwing up.
Needs water.
Yes, it does.
It's
Sorry, guys.
Sad.
It's outrageous.
I think yesterday was its water day.
Let me tell you about this. Though Leisha has not watered this plant as part of an awesome object lesson about today, because plant cells are more rigid than animal cells, but that rigidity is only partially due to the cell wall. A large part of it is because they have a large central vacuole that fills with water, and much like a water balloon, it gives them something called turgor pressure, which gives strength to the cells. And so when those vacuoles start to become empty, they lose the turgor pressure, and the plants become increasingly flaccid. You've probably noticed this with
cell
celery.
walls hold water like a water balloon?
No. The cell wall is a wall made of cellulose, which is a complex sugar of the cell. But inside of the cell, they've got this vacuole, which is like a sack of water. And that's important because plants need water to do photosynthesis. And so you can't be guaranteed that there'll be water.
So they're using that water in there for photosynthesis.
They use it for photosynthesis, but as it becomes depleted,
up.
Then they become flaccid.
And that's why it wilts.
That's why it wilts. And if you water them again, they recover.
Because the water gets back into the cell.
Yeah, exactly. Inside the vacuole. And the turgor pressure is restored. And they are no longer flaccid.
Thanks, Plenty. I love you.
I love you too. Anyway, plants, by the way, just for the record, like, I'm not a plant person, but for a few days, plants are totally rad. There's enough cool stuff to talk about plants to keep a person happy for quite some time. But after a while, you're going to be like, they're not as cool as animals, are they?
Plants are pretty rad, though. Should we get to some?
We should. By the way, none of this has been the rad thing that I just discovered, because I just discovered something about snapping turtles that makes me so happy. So I have a snapping turtle here with me. It is the very snapping turtle that introduced this to me, because it showed me some stuff that all makes sense, but I didn't know what it looked like at all or exactly how it operated, and it's so cool. It's so cool. Anyway, he's been showing it off. I will see if he'll show it to you today.
Freaky. Okay, are you ready for some super chat?
I'm ready for some
super chat.
Excellent. This is from Wolf Jager. Thoughts or tips about setting up a children's python with Bioactive? Worth the trouble? Thanks for all you do, and sorry about the Chiefs.
That is okay. You know what? People have been saying sorry about the Chiefs to me. I do think that game was kind of a bummer to watch. But the thing is, the Chiefs had really 4 of their starting offensive linemen out, and so you've never seen such a weak offensive line, and no quarterback had ever been rushed as much as Patrick Mahomes was, and it wasn't a good game, right? It wasn't a good game to watch, but the Chiefs have been in the Super Bowl 2 times in the last 2 years. In the rest of my life, they've been to the Super Bowl 0 times.
Yeah.
I did a quick calculation this morning, and what I found out is that of the 110 teams that have gone to the Super Bowl, half of them have lost. And the Chiefs have been there 2 times in the last 2 years. They won 1, lost 1. Par for the course. If they will just continue going to the Super Bowl every year from now on and winning half of them, I have nothing to complain about. There has never been a better time in my life to be a Chiefs fan than right now. Not even close. And so I'm not sorry about the Chiefs. I'm super excited about the Chiefs, especially this guy who's Patrick Mahomes. Anyway, I know you're not all here to talk about sports, but in case you switch over, you can also get me talking about cars if you want. Like, wait, but there's more to that question.
Yes, children's python.
Children's python.
Bioactive.
So I'm going to give you the pros and the cons of bioactive with snakes just generally. And a children's python is a pretty darn good snake to do bioactive. So the downside to snakes in bioactive is really there's two things. There's one of it's not as necessary, and two, they're not very good at being in bioactive enclosures. And so the reason it's not that necessary is just that snakes aren't that messy, right? They swallow their prey whole and they poop once a week. And so it's fairly easy to keep up after a snake and spot clean, and like snakes are delightful in that way. And so having it be bioactive, not nearly as necessary. Beautiful. Well, it is. It's more beautiful. I'm not gonna, but then that's where they're not that well suited to it, because a lot of what makes it so beautiful is all the live plants and things. Snakes love to just dig stuff up. And so they often will dig up your live plants and kind of mess up your bioactive enclosure, which is really the biggest downside to snakes. Now, the really nice thing about a children's python is, one, it's not that much of a burrower, and two, it's not a very big snake, so it doesn't have the strength to just be ripping all your giant plants out and stuff like that. And so it's great. And so honestly, a bioactive enclosure, pretty much like what we set up for our emerald tree skinks, would be an absolutely fantastic children's python enclosure. And they're probably, children's python's probably not going to tear it up too much. Delightful.
Good answer. Good answer. Our friend Anthony sent a super chat and said, for the reptile room friends, hope your leg is doing better, Leisha.
You should give him an update, Leisha.
Yeah. As you hit it.
No.
I've been really, really babying it this week. Like, just
finally
trying to leave it up on pillows and not walk on it. My mom came over this week and helped me clean my house, which was super nice. And I've just been really, really babying it. And it's finally like light at the end of the tunnel. I don't grimace as I walk down the stairs, and it's really doing well. She's
really, really doing well. I think the main thing now is just not to forget that it's still hurt and it could get re-injured really fast and stuff. Because this is sort of the danger zone where it's like it feels good.
Yeah.
And so I'm trying to convince her to keep taking it easy, but so far so good. I've been really proud of her.
And Anthony, thank you. Anthony's one of our good friends. He was doing a Zoom chat with Clint, and I popped in, and I was like, I can't find the keys. But I felt comfortable enough to do that with Anthony. And I'm like, hi, Anthony.
Yeah, and when we get off, Anthony's not like, what was that? By the way, what do you guys think of my haircut and beard trim?
Mr. and Mrs. Morelia. We'll get there.
Okay, it's coming up. Never mind. Not even interested.
Let's see. Not even interested. Let's see. We are now on to Sky Prince, who sent a super chat.
Prince?
Sorry, Sky X Prince.
Okay.
What are your thoughts about the bills trying to pass in New York and South Carolina?
Oh, I don't know as much about the North Carolina, or sorry, the New York one. Though I think I did see that, and they were like trying to ban tegus in New York. How optimistic are they? They're like, I swear, tegus are going to be able to establish themselves in New York.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
No.
So that's pretty silly. North Carolina, honestly, in my personal opinion, bills like those, and I don't know a huge amount of the details of them, but bans on animals that could potentially become invasive make more sense to me than bills banning animals that are already really well established. Because the reality is, and don't do this, but if you would be to take a tegu and release it in Florida, it makes almost no difference, right? If they've already got a large established population of tegus, they've got a large established population of tegus. One more is just one more on top of thousands. Whereas if you're introducing like the original pair of tegus in a new place, that's a really big deal. And so I get it. I get trying to protect against stuff like that. And it's I hate it. right? Because I love these animals. Something else that I think is a big deal as we go forward is the fact that,
Aurora Exotic said South Carolina wants to ban tegus. New York wants to ban all shipping of animals in and out of the state.
Oh, that's the worst.
And I want to, by the way, Aurora Exotics and Benny, they're from Discord and they're being our moderators today.
Well,
so thank you so much. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, no, the main so New York's ban, that is pretty draconian. So here's honestly what I think is the solution to that. No one's ever gonna ban cats and dogs, even though those are far more destructive to the environment. They're far more dangerous than almost all of the animals that we cover. Not cats so much, but dogs big time. But no one's coming after those for the most part because they're so established as pets that normal, reasonable people keep. Whereas historically, if you keep snakes, like, are you in a cult? Like, are you a devil worshiper? Like, what's going? Like, why would you keep a snake? And so they're very easy to villainize and to go after. But I think as more and more people in the mainstream discover what an incredible hobby this is, what amazing animals these are. I mean, this snake, like, how much more delightful does interaction with an animal get than this?
Yep.
And yet this is such a reasonable creature to keep compared to, most of the other animals that you would have an experience like this with. And so as people learn that, it starts to change the culture. And honestly, like, we're dealing with a cultural battle that historically people have been very, very afraid of these animals.
Yeah, you okay?
And buddy? they just don't understand.
You got cut up in the laptop cord.
They just don't understand, what these animals are and what they're all about. And so as we are good ambassadors for the hobby and for these animals, it starts to change that culture. And I hope things don't go that way in New York. If so, let me invite you to move to a different state, because that's a deal breaker right there.
Yep, that's awful. Let's see. Anthony sent a super duper chat.
Super duper chat.
Hi there, my friends. So pterosaurs and aquatic reptiles like Mosasaurus, Plesiosaurus, and Ichthyosaurus weren't dinosaurs, but what was the relation to dinosaurs and what are their closest living relatives?
Okay, so pterosaurs,
and aquatic.
Okay, so
reptiles like Mosasaur, Plesiosaur, and Ichthyosaur.
Most of those are diapsid archosaurs, which is the same group that includes the birds and the crocodilians.
So I know what diapsid is, but I don't know what
archosaurs. So there's two kind of big lineages of reptiles. There's the squamate reptiles and the tuataras, right. And then there's the archosaurs. And then the turtles are usually kind of lumped in with the archosaurs. They're probably more closely related to the archosaurs than they are to the squamates, but they might not be archosaurs themselves.
What
right?
makes an archosaur an archosaur?
They're the direct descendants of the archosaurs, sort of like dinosaurs, but these are the archosaurs. And there are a lot of pre-dinosaur large land reptiles that are the direct ancestors or offshoots closely related to the direct ancestors of the dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. And so the crocodilians and the birds are the remaining descendants of the archosaurs, and so they're part of that group. And a lot of those that we just mentioned are probably archosaurs. Mosasaurs are not. Mosasaurs are probably over in the squamate reptiles. They're probably closely related to the varanid lizards, the monitors. And here's my mosasaur, by the way. Then there's things like ichthyosaurs, which are not even diapsid reptiles. So this diapsid condition has to do with holes in the skull behind the orbit through which muscles can pass or expand. And the diapsids have two on each side of their head. There's the synapsids, which is like, the mammals are the descendants of the synapsid reptiles, but other synapsid reptiles are things like Dimetrodon, that you with the big sail on its back that you probably grew up liking a lot. Mm-hmm. And then there's anapsids, which have no holes. And some people will call turtles anapsids, but turtles are really diapsids that have the backside of the holes missing. I need a snapping turtle skull to show you guys sometime. Or an alligator snapping turtle skull, even better. Because you can see really well that just the backs of the holes are open. But then there's also a group, all extinct now, called the Euryapsids. And they also only have one hole, but of the 2 holes that you could have as a diapsid, they have the other hole than the hole that the synapsids have. And I think the ichthyosaurs are part of the Euryapsids. And so they're probably more distantly related to all of the extant reptiles than the extant reptiles are all to one another.
Interesting.
And I'm trying to think where the plesiosaurs fall. I'm not as sure. I think they're archosaurs, but if they were Euryapsids, it wouldn't blow my mind.
So who are their closest living relatives?
So their closest living relatives of most of these. Okay, so here it is. If it's a Euryapsid, their closest living relatives are all of the reptiles, including the birds.
Okay.
If it's an Archosaurian diapsid, then their closest living relatives are either the crocodilians and birds, or just the birds, probably. Though, I mean, the crocodilian lineage goes back to the time of the dinosaurs. So some of those might be more closely related to crocodiles than they are to dinosaurs. Yeah. I don't know. In fact, back in the day, there were huge land crocodiles that had fairly long limbs directly under their body, like dinosaurs.
That's so freaky.
But they're crocodiles. Stinking rad.
So Jessica was showing me a picture of a coot's foot the other day.
Oh, yeah.
It was a dinosaur foot.
Yes.
Like the underneath, there's like these little pads. You should look it up. A coot's foot. There's like these little pads, and then like all these little scales. If she said this is the foot of a dinosaur, I'd have been like, "Yep, you're right."
Just watch a chicken walk sometimes. Yeah. When I lived in Peru, there were lots of chickens. I'd always watch them. I'd be like, "There's T-Rex's foot from Jurassic Park."
Yep. Okay, Natasha Peterson said,
Jurassic Park logo on William.
I don't know what William's saying, but
anyway, if I had some phylogenies, by the way, I could tell you with more exactness. So let's talk more about that on your next call.
Yeah. Hi, Clint and Alicia. Guess who finally arrived after 6 months wait? Persnickety thinks he's a very dangerous cobber, but I love his hognose sass. Cute. I'm so glad you finally got a hognose after 6 months. That's a long wait. Congratulations. Oh, yeah. They're fun snakes. I really like hogs.
I want to give an update on Anna, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Anna
is a snake that a fan sent.
Yep, she's a female anaconda hognose snake, about a year old and grumpy.
Is she?
Yeah, she's sassy. She's got kind of that teenager hognose angst. I haven't seen her strike at me. In fact, I haven't had any problems. When I picked her up and held her, she was fine. I haven't held her since then because I've been letting her settle in. But she did just eat her first meals.
Excellent.
So she's doing great, and I'm super excited about it.
I love it. Okay.
Just an FYI, I don't think it's immediately on deck, but he's definitely got a poop going on in the near future.
I'm done.
See that? Oh, yeah, you can't even see it as well. But we'll go ahead and put him away, lest the worst should happen.
Less the worst. Good plan. Sherry LBW sent a super chat and said, really excited, added a juvenile male pygmy.
Sorry.
I don't know what that noise was. Added a juvenile male pygmy python to my family this week. Arrived Tuesday. Going to have to do a face-to-face soon to show you all the new additions. That is so exciting.
I will. I'm really looking forward to that. Thank you so much. I love these updates.
Also, Sherry, she's the one that sent the book. The last of the really great wing doodles. And Owen reads at night. He says he can't fall asleep unless he reads first. So he saw that book and he was like, what is this? Can I read this? A new book? He's read like all the books in our house 5,000 times. And we have a lot. I was a kindergarten teacher, so we have a lot of children's books, a lot of chapter books. And he's read them all. So he was like, a new book. Can I read this? And I was like, yeah. And I told him all about you, Sherry, and what you had said. And we read the card together. And he finished it by like Tuesday or Wednesday.
And he's been talking about it all the time.
Every morning we do family snuggles where the kids get in our bed and we, just snuggle and talk about the day and how they slept. And every morning we asked, Owen, how's your book? What's going on in it? And I haven't read it yet because, I'm a mom and I have lots of stuff going on. But he read it and he was loved it. He's been drawing pictures of the wingdoodles. He's been like, is there a movie? He's loved it. So thank you so much for sending that. It was really awesome.
Oh yeah. Where's his current book? Do you know where that is?
Are we allowed to show it?
Yeah, it's out
about
now.
it? Oh,
You can get it yourself.
Penny, you know the white book that Owen's been reading? Can you go find it? With the turtle.
Penny is the master finder. So Owen now that he's finished that book, he's begun a new book.
Yep.
And it has a really cool author.
Yeah.
So I should probably,
when she finds it, we'll tell you all about it. But we'll move on for now. Let's see. Mr. and Mrs. Morelia sent a super chat, said, Clint, better beard and haircut today. Leisha, gorgeous hairstyle. # Team Leisha. Thank you. I thought you were betraying me when you told Clint to shave his beard. I actually cut his hair this week, and I thought I had the 3/4 inch clipper on my, or the, what is it called?
Peanut?
No, the like
Attachment?
Attachment. Yeah, attachment on my clipper, but really I had the 3/8 inch attachment. So I'm like, zzz. That's shorter than I thought it was going to be, but
so what do you guys think? Better or worse?
I like it. It'll grow out now.
It will, but what is the ideal beard length?
Yeah.
See, most of the time that this channel has existed, I was and I've talked to you guys about this before. Some of you were like, you're not allowed to have beards at Brigham Young? No, you're not. And so I could let it grow out for a few days usually before we would film, and that's it. You know, eventually I'd have to go back to campus and shave it. And every now and then, like, we'd have a break, and so I'd get a little bit of a beard going. But I didn't have the option. So now, like, I could grow one down to the floor, but I think that's probably excessive. And so I'm trying to discover for myself.
So I really like this length on you. The only thing that makes me not like it is you have a few little holes in your beard right here. So if it was like really solid, and if we could really, I learned how to do straight razor shaves, and I used to be really good at it, but Clint won't let me straight razor shave him anymore. It's been a few years, so he's scared about me straight razoring his neck.
I try to stay on her good side.
He used to let me, and I used to be really good at it. I would do hot towels and steam the whole 9 yards. But so if we could do a really like close shave to clean it up, and if we could figure out something for like these little holes in there, I think this is a great length. But
all right, we'll get your feedback. Maybe we'll do a poll later. How long
should
this be?
Did I embarrass you? Was that too much?
Of course.
Sorry. Okay, so Mr. and Mrs. Merley, I have a question. Why do crickets smell bad, but dubias are supposed to be tolerable? Good question.
That is a good question. Crickets are messy. Dubias deposit a really dry feces and you know the thing about. Did he?
It suddenly smells gross. Maybe it was Martha.
No, he didn't.
Okay.
Maybe it was me. Oh no. But you know, you never know. Maybe I'm like Brian and I just go while we're in the middle of a
Penny found it.
Penny's got the book. Then
Penny,
you remind me of the details of the question.
Okay, so let's show them the back of the cover first, or should we show them the front? It looks like Owen's on chapter 5, page 32.
He's been loving it.
What am I trying to say? He just started reading this.
Yep. So this is Dave Kaufman's book, Asylum Coast or Elysium Coast, and
by Dave Kaufman.
Yeah,
a novel based on a true story.
And so far, he is like loving it. He said last night it made him cry.
Yeah, he was like, I cried because I could relate to how they were feeling. He's 7. I died. I was like, come give me a snuggle right this instant.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm amazed that he's reading books like this.
Yeah. I still haven't read it.
But he's loving it.
But he is loving it.
He's loving it. So.
Yay. Thanks for sending that, Dave.
Oh, yeah. Dave gave it to me in person. Mine is an autograph.
To Clint.
Rattle on. Dave. This is a pre-production release. But you can now get one. For a while, I had to keep it on the DL that this even existed.
There he is.
That's the Kaufman.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you a live update on Dave Kaufman's channel. Okay, we are currently at. One moment, everybody.
If you hear Martha squealing, she's sitting over here next to us.
We're still at 98,900. We're trying to get to 99,000 before the end of the live stream. So if you can subscribe to Dave Kaufman's Animal Adventure or Reptile Adventures, he has both. Dave Kaufman's Reptile Adventures. Please do.
Yep.
Because I would love to see him get that silver play button. By the end of the day, he deserves it. No one could deserve it more, I don't think.
And so crickets smelling bad can
Oh, yeah.
be dubious.
Why? That's a great question. I think some of it is they like to die, and then they don't smell very good, where dubias are not so good about that. But yeah, dubias, they are really not a problem at all. It's probably not a question so much. Crickets are just messy.
They just poop more.
They poop more. They die more. They eat messy food. They don't eat everything till it's gone as well.
That's true. Dubias will, like, in the summer, we'll just pop our old, like, you eat watermelon, but there's still some, like, white and red stuff left on it, and they'll eat that up. Like, they eat
gone
everything.
Till you've just got, like, a sheet of paper that is the watermelon rind.
Yep.
Yeah, dubias are magnificent creatures. But what I also find is if I put my crickets, when I get crickets in with my dubia colony, the crickets do pretty well.
Eleanor said, just sub to Dave. Yay, Eleanor. Good
Yay,
job.
thank you.
Okay, let's see. More.
You even spelled his name right. That is so hard to do.
That is so hard. With those 3 letters. Lauren sent a super chat. Hi, Clint and Leisha. We are supposed to have 0-degree temps and a lot of snow next week in Dallas. Yes, Texas. And I was wondering if any prep tips for my hognose in case I lose power. That's a great question.
I was talking to some people down in Texas this last week about the cold temperatures you guys have been having. And they have a thing going on that I had never even considered. And we're gonna get Leisha's response to this.
Uh-oh.
They, in their homes, do not have a furnace.
And they're experiencing 0-degree temperatures?
Because it normally doesn't get super cold. There are a lot of...
Well, wouldn't you want a furnace even if it was getting into the 30s?
Probably, but...
So, and doesn't it, like, get into 30s fairly often in Texas?
Well, it probably depends on what part of Texas you're in. But they didn't have a furnace. And, what
were they doing?
Growing
getting
up in
heated
Colorado,
blankets and just not getting out of them?
Well, it just never gets nearly as cold as it does here.
Oh, my God.
And growing up, in my house...
says, we have heaters.
Until I was in high school, I didn't have an air conditioning. And I told that to those people, and they were like, because you would die. You would die down there without air conditioning.
Well, you had swamp cooler, right?
It didn't usually work. So most of the time...
You didn't have AC in your house in the summer?
No, it was pretty rough.
Crappy.
But it was
That's
survivable.
Not a good way to live.
No, well, it wasn't ideal, but it was survivable. And so it's like you don't have a furnace.
Okay, so Lauren does have a furnace, so she's just
so
saying,
if you lose power
outages and stuff.
Okay, so if you here would probably be the best thing is if your animals are in, say, a reptile room, make sure that room is as well insulated as you can, and keep the door to it closed, especially if you lose power. If you've got a window, cover that window up with insulation. Now, if you're like ordering rodents from Rodent Pro, they send you everything in an insulated box, and that box is full of sheets of insulation you can dig out. Just tape them in your window to help prevent it. Obviously, a space heater only helps if you have power.
But they could potentially hook it up to a cheap generator or something.
Yeah, generator need to be outside of gas generator because otherwise you'll all die. But and so if you've got the budget for it, a gas generator would be the safest thing as a backup. And and the thing is, you could power just a space heater off that gas generator.
How likely is that to happen? Or are you guys just not used to?
Well, they were losing power. They had like this much snow, and it was knocking out their power.
Why? Why does that not do that here?
Because everything here has to be built for handling snow, or we would lose power every few days during the winter. You silly goose.
Hi.
That's a great question. Those are my best tips, but I've never really... I've totally grown up and lived in places that it gets cold, but we're kind of a little more prepared for the cold.
Penny, you want to give Martha her bottle, sweetie? It's on the table. Thanks. Let's see. Sherry says, garter snakes destroyed my plants in the bioactive. Children should do better.
Yep.
Yeah.
They'll do better, but they might do the same sometimes.
Jason said, hey guys, I hope you're doing well. This is another super chat. I bought my northern blue tongue last weekend. She was active and fun for about 8 hours and then went right into brumation. I guess I'll see her in the spring.
Well, you should still be seeing her.
Yeah.
She's just gonna be a lot less active, hopefully.
Yeah. Make sure there's
Check your temps.
a lot of heat.
Warm her up slow if she's too cold.
David Shook just sent a $10 super chat.
Who? David Shook?
Yep.
Thank you so much. That's everything?
That's everything.
Well, thank you, David.
And Amy B sent a $25 super chat. There we go. Happy Valentine's Day, Clint and Leisha made it. I'm so happy you're here, Amy, and thank you so much.
Yeah.
That's so nice. It's almost Valentine's Day.
That snuck up on me.
Can I tell them some of the surprises I'm planning for you?
Am I supposed to leave?
No. You can know the surprises. You can know them.
Okay.
So last year on Valentine's Day, me and the kids surprised Clinty by building a huge fort in our living room, massive fort, and we put lights all through it. And then we went to Trader Joe's and got all sorts of specialty snacks and candies and drinks. And we watched a movie in our fort and had our special snacks. So I thought that was so fun. So this year, since it's on Sunday, I thought it would be really fun to do a fort like that again. And we're gonna make individual heart pizzas. Isn't that cute?
That's the best.
And then I have, those big, long, pretzel stick rods. I got those to dip in chocolate and sprinkles. And I got some Sprite and sherbet for some pink punch. And
are we dressed in
popcorn.
Valentine's Day colors on purpose? Or was this a total accident?
I was a little on purpose.
I was not on purpose at all. Sorry, carry on. That is the cutest thing. I didn't know you were doing this. I did know about that because I found all the ingredients and I went, we got Sprite? And she's like, I have a special drink planned. And I'm like, and I knew she got sherbet because she almost forgot to bring it in from the car. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's one of my favorite drinks.
Yep. And then I got lots of popcorn.
I'm such a kid.
I know. Sorry. You are. He's like, hot dogs and macaroni and cheese. Yes, this is the best day ever. I make cordon bleu and spend hours and hours. And he's all, can we just have mac and cheese?
That's not true. I like all your stuff.
Sometimes.
Yeah, unless it's just like a mash of vegetables.
Yeah. All right. Are you excited for that, by the way?
Very.
Do you have surprises for me?
No. So bad. Here's my thing. I really hate doing stuff because I'm supposed to.
Agreed. I do too. And I hate buying gifts. Especially I hate buying gifts because I feel like I have to. That's just a social convention that needs to go down the drain.
Yeah. Basically, if somebody's telling me you have to do this or else, I'm like, I'll take the or else. Almost always. And so.
But I don't.
You don't treat me that way at all.
Yeah.
But it kind of honestly, I go to the store right now and I see all the flowers for sale and I'm like, I would rather get her flowers every single other day of the year than on Valentine's Day because, but I also want her to know that I love her and she means the world to me, but not because I'm supposed to tell her that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If that makes sense. Anyway, I love you, Bear. I love your surprise. It's perfect. I'll try to come up with something.
And somebody said, Clint, eat your veggies. Who was that? Finn's Reptiles. Thank you.
I like veggies just fine as long as they're included in something.
Yeah.
But when it's just a mash of weirdy veggies, is Ginger's is that a chain?
No, that's a Springville. A few stores down the street from Clint's Reptile Room is one of my favorite restaurants, which is Ginger's. They're vegan, but you can get meat there, but it's vegan, whole food, plant-based type of restaurant, and it's delicious. They have really yummy food there. And Clint goes and he's like, where's the oil? Where's the butter? Where's the carbs? Where's my steak?
Yeah, steak would be delightful.
And I'm like, ooh, this salad is so good tasted. And he's all, can we just go to
No, I do like salads. There's a place around here called Cafe Zupas. Delightful salads. I would eat that salad all day.
It's full of sugar. The dressing is just a sugar dressing.
That's what plants have to offer us. They make that stuff.
Oh, gosh. Okay, you Iron said, hey, Clint, did you get more moles on your arms in 2020? Your arms look like mine.
Moles?
I don't think so. I mean, you have some sunspots up here, but I don't. That's
maybe
weird.
You didn't see my arms in 2019.
Okay. Anthony sent. Oh, he was so close to a super duper chat. It was 1999.
So close to a super duper chat.
So, my friend, fun question. If the velociraptors in Jurassic Park were anatomically accurate as opposed to being made to look like Deinonychus, do you think that they would have been able to evade and escape them?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, here's the thing. If the velociraptors in Jurassic Park were true Velociraptor mongoliensis instead of Deinonychus, which Deinonychus is what they are and what they always were supposed to be. And Deinonychus is a hardcore dinosaur. Velociraptor mongoliensis probably wouldn't even attack a person. You know, like you're just a little bit too much of a problem. But if they did, it would sort of be like, probably it would be like you, say you're attacked by a pack of 3 Velociraptor mongoliensis. It would probably be like you fighting 3 medium to large dogs. And I mean, it would be horrible, right? And they might kill you. But you also might be able to handle it. You know, just kind of depends on who you are and how lucky you get.
Do you think that they're as smart as like Jurassic Park portrays them to be?
Maybe. I mean, how smart? Probably not, right? But probably pretty smart. You know,
Not as smart as dogs, though.
Not necessarily, but you know, they're large-brained endotherms. They might have been.
They were
pretty clever.
endotherms?
Almost certainly. Here, you want to talk about endothermy and dinosaurs?
No.
Okay, we'll do it. So, here's the thing. Most signs point to dinosaurs being endothermic. Maybe not all of them, but certainly dinosaurs like the theropods. Is one of the big indicators is that they were almost all, especially when they were small, they were insulated. And that's a strong sign of endothermy. And there's just a lot of other stuff that would indicate the probable endothermy, including the fact that their only known descendants are endotherms. But there's one weirdness about them. So,
sorry, Martha's having a delightful time right now.
Most of the water that you lose as an organism, you lose through respiration when you breathe. And that's because you have to keep your lungs humid in order for them to function. But as an endotherm, you use a tremendous amount of energy just to keep your body at a constant temperature. I would call you a homeotherm is a better term for it. As a homeotherm, you're using a ton of metabolic energy to keep your body temperature the same, which means you need to breathe a lot. And so all extant endotherms have like a honeycomb inside of their nose to recapture moisture.
That would have bothered me back in the day.
Yes, but you're no longer bothered by these things. The dinosaurs don't have this honeycomb in their nasal cavity, and so that's the biggest thing that casts some doubt on them being homeothermic. I still think they probably were. They just might have been, homeotherms before this particular adaptation was around. Especially, if they weren't living in the desert, it might not have been as big of a deal. Oh, can I nerd out a little bit more about creatures?
Oh, dear.
So the large mammal that is the best in the desert, you're probably familiar with it. It's not the camel. Camels store fat in their hump, not water. And that fat, metabolic energy actually also produces water, and so they get some energy and they get water from the fat storage. But they are not the best in the desert. The best is an antelope called an oryx. And the oryx is so excellent in the desert because it cools its nose so that by countercurrent blood flow, it keeps its nose cold so that water condenses in the nose before it leaves the body. And so when they breathe, they're really efficient at maintaining the moisture.
That's cool. That's really cool.
All right.
Sherry LBW sent a super chat and said, glad he liked it. She's talking about
the he loves it.
Yeah.
He's talked to us about that book.
Yep.
A lot more than any other book I can remember.
Yep.
I mean, he read like 10 million books in the last 2 months.
He read like 15 Magic Tree Houses in a month, and he loves Magic Tree House books, and he
hardly talks to me about them.
Yeah.
And he's talked to me about this one a ton.
Yep. He's been drawing pictures of it, and yeah, it's been fun. Let's see. Sherian Drouillard. Sorry, Sherian. If that's not right, I'm so sorry. I have a cave gecko coming in today. Super stoked. You guys are rad.
That is
awesome.
bodacious. I actually was
Congratulations.
just talking to Great Basin Serpentarium because they have like 4 or 5 species of cave geckos. And so I think in the coming weeks, we're going to film a video on cave geckos.
Awesome. That's really exciting. Anthony sent a super chat, said, so my friend, during all your outdoor adventures, whether it be herping or otherwise, have you seen anything that made you question what you just saw? Something akin to seeing Bigfoot.
Made me question what I just saw.
Well, Bigfoot is in your turtle video with...
That's true. With Kenan?
Yeah.
Yeah, we saw a Sasquatch down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
We actually did, and we saw a Sasquatch down there in action.
Yeah.
Boy, something that made me question what I just saw.
What about the landfish, Newt says?
That is such a good one.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Oh, and I've got something like unto it. Okay, now, so growing up, I'm an only child. My best friend, she moved in across the street from me when we were 8, and
Also an only child.
And so we were like siblings. And her name's Anne Marie. And one year on her birthday,
Oh, yeah.
and she to this day does not find this to be an amusing story.
Although you told her that one of the last
And
times
she's
we
okay
hung
with it
out,
now?
and she was like, I don't, yeah. She
Okay.
was like,
Okay. So maybe comedy is time, tragedy plus time.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
and
yeah.
and so maybe now that some 20 plus years have gone by, she's okay with what happened on this day. But on her birthday, at her birthday party, she's out in her yard. We're having a good time, and she gets hit in the head, whammo, by something really hard. Fell from the sky. And the thing that landed on her head from the sky on her birthday, at her birthday party, was a crayfish with no legs that was alive and survived the impact with her head.
Poor Anne-Marie.
Yeah, that was quite something to behold. What else have I seen that was just really weird? I mean, this was something that was just stupendously cool a few years ago. So historically, it obviously hasn't happened this year, but historically, our family has gone to Disneyland one time a year. And that's like our big thing that we do every year. It's our big expense, our big tradition. Yeah, like we budget for it all year. And we go to Disneyland, and then we usually go to the beach. And maybe 3 years ago? Was it 3 years ago?
I don't know.
We were at the beach in February always. When we
Oh, yeah.
So it'd be like almost exactly 3 years ago.
Yeah.
We were at the beach, and just off the shore, you know how there's the place where the continental shelf drops off a little bit, but I mean it was so close.
Yeah.
Probably closer than that. I mean, it was, what do you think, 30 feet into the water?
Yeah.
Like, it seems like you easily could have swam out to this distance.
Yeah. Yeah.
But a sperm whale came up so close to us, and then it cruised down the shoreline parallel to the shore, so we could just stay.
We just ran with it.
Yeah, just ran with it and watched it.
It was
And
amazing.
the sperm whale is my personal favorite whale.
Yeah.
And for reasons I'd be happy to explain. But I couldn't believe that was happening.
Yeah, it was amazing. And that same trip we saw a dolphin
Yep. Yeah.
in the wild.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yep.
I mean, of all the whales.
So there's quite a few super chats coming in. We also need to do Patreon, and you haven't shown us your amazing theme.
Yeah.
And it's 10 minutes to 1.
Holy cow! Boy, the time has really flown by today.
Yeah.
Well, let me show them the awesome thing.
Okay.
Because there might be more follow-up questions about this. And actually, before I even do this, I'm going to bring this up so you can show them pictures if we can't see
Do you
it.
want Penny to grab some paper towels?
Yeah, Penny, could you grab us a couple of paper towels, please? 2?
Thanks,
you.
love.
Okay, let's see here. I'm going to bring this up because I downloaded a few pictures of the thing that I saw in case, because like I said, I've been around snapping turtles a lot in my life, but my problem is most of the snapping turtles I've kept have been very nice. And so I haven't really had that many opportunities to stare into their mouth. But I had Nipper out when I was doing a face-to-face, which,
Who's
by the way,
Nipper?
But he's our little snapping turtle. I'll show him to you in a minute. But if you're unfamiliar with the face-to-faces, they are literally what is keeping the reptile room open. If you want to hang out with me via Zoom, just the two of us, or you and a group of your friends, if you guys want to hang out at the reptile room and see cool animals, there's a link that'll be down here in the chat here in a second. Please come schedule a time and we'll hang out. It's via Zoom, so you can do it from anywhere in the world. There it is. It's up there in the chat. Please do it. I love doing it, and it literally is the only thing that has saved the reptile.
And the title of it says like reptile party, but it's not. It's just literally a one-on-one time with Clint.
We should change it to like hang out with Clint.
Something like that. It's amazing. And also, speaking of the reptile room, can I? I haven't talked to Clint about this, so hopefully this is okay. But we are wanting to try to open it up again here pretty soon. And
the COVID numbers are way down here in Utah.
I have been drawing up T-shirt designs for the reptile room for volunteers to wear, and a shirt that you can wear or that you can buy when you come to the reptile room that you can't buy anywhere else. It's just a reptile room.
So you don't trip on that cord.
Good job, Miss. A reptile room specific shirt. So I've been drawing up designs and trying to figure out what it should look like. I have a few ideas, but if you want to submit a design or if you have any ideas, I would love to see your ideas, and we would love to.
Where would they do that? Would they put them on Instagram and
tag us on Instagram or email us at clintsreptileroom@gmail.com.
Okay, so there's a couple things. Hopefully, so here's the deal. He was in the worst mood I've ever seen him in because he's a snapping turtle of average snapping turtle personality. He's not super grumpy, but he'll take a few shots at you from time to time. But he was really mad, and he hated the people I was talking to. I feel bad for saying this. They were the second people to be bitten by an animal at the reptile room. Fortunately, they too were protected inside of the phone at the time.
Inside of the phone.
But
don't say those things.
But he was mad. He was real mad. And so he had his mouth open. And one of the things was something I've noticed within the last few weeks, which I was sort of aware of, but it was really cool to see it that clearly. Mm-hmm. But then there was something else that I hadn't seen before. I knew something like it had to exist, but I didn't know where it was. I'd never seen it. And so I'm gonna get him out, and I'm gonna see if he'll show us. If he won't show it to us, I'll talk you through it. And I have some pictures of the thing that I noticed that is so cool and crazy. I had no idea about any of it. So.
Matt, aka Hops and Pipes, said, "How far from Provo, Utah are you?" So the reptile room is in Springville, downtown Springville. Springville is the next town south from Provo, so just a few miles away.
Oh, he's being delightful. Thanks a lot, Nipper.
He is never delightful.
No, he's delightful often.
What?
So
every time I see him, he's snapping away.
He's got two modes. He's got this mode, which is hang out and hide, and he's got fight mode. Those are his two modes, and he's in hang out and hide mode. So anyway, I'll show them to you anyway. So as you guys as you may know, go away, Theo. You don't want to deal with this.
Theo, come here.
Sorry, buddy.
Will you take Theo upstairs? Thanks, sweetie.
Okay, so one snapping turtle. So aquatic turtles, most of them can't swallow on land. They need water to help push their food down. And so the snapping turtle is like most aquatic turtles, and if you've kept aquatic turtles, you've probably seen this, which is that they will swallow and then they shoot water back out of their nose. And so there has to be some sort of a connection between their nose and their mouth. And when his mouth is open, you can actually see there are two holes right in the middle of the roof of his mouth that connect to his nostrils.
That's so cool.
And so he's got, just call him anyways.
Tia.
But he's got these two holes that go down. No, you just go on and then call him.
Good job, Moose. Run up and he'll follow you. Thanks, sweetie.
So right in the middle of the roof of his mouth are those two holes, which is the other side of his nostrils, and that's how he shoots water back out of it. But you've probably also seen, just keep walking, Penny Rose. He'll follow you. Okay. So there has to be some way for them to breathe through those nostrils. Okay, you've probably noticed that turtles will just stick their nose up above the surface of the water, and they can breathe through their nostrils. But those nostrils just run into the middle of the roof of their mouth.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how do they breathe through there?
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I saw for the first time. And do you want to open up those pictures?
Yeah.
So I noticed this, and I was able to find a couple of pictures of it. But look at how their trachea opens up, and it's right in the middle of their tongue. So it's most of the time it's closed, but there is sort of a peak to their tongue right in the middle of the tongue. But then there is a hole that they open up right in the middle of their tongue. How cool is that? I'd never seen that before. So when they breathe, they put their nose up and they press their tongue into the roof of their mouth and open that hole, and that's how they breathe. I'd never, ever seen that, and it is so stinking rad. It has me all kinds of excited. Anyway, that was a brand new thing. I'd never noticed it before. Snapping turtles are already my favorite turtles, but that's one of the things. When you keep animals, you see things you've never seen before that you've never even think to look at. Yeah. And so I've been so darn excited about that little discovery.
Can I touch his shell?
Yep.
Where?
Here back. Feel these spikes.
Those are sharp. What is he using those spikes for?
I think more than anything that makes him very unpleasant to swallow whole. Because if a fish tries to swallow you, and if it gets it from the front, then the turtle's already well defended. Mm-hmm. But if he tries to swallow you backwards, you're horrible, and it'll probably cough you back out. Mm-hmm. That's my hypothesis. What are your thoughts on the spikes
and his little pointy
on the snapping turtle shell? Because those are actually genuinely fairly sharp. Now, here's another question I have, which I know nothing about. Why do snapping turtles have such big tails? And here's another thing. As far as giant-tailed turtles like this, the main ones I know about are snapping turtles and alligator snapping turtles, and the Florida snapping turtles and the two alligator snapping turtles. But anyway, but snapping turtles, and then over in Asia, the big-headed turtles, which also have colossal heads. They're biters as their defense. They've got a lot of mobility. They find them up in trees, and they've got big old tails too. Why big tails on these big-headed turtles?
James H. says turning underwater.
The tails?
Yeah.
All right.
But a lot of other turtles swim and can seem to
I think that's a good hypothesis. I don't fully understand it, but I'm not saying you're wrong. I would like to know more.
Yeah.
So anyway, keep the information coming.
Okay.
Snapping turtles are stinking rad.
Rudder? Is it a rudder?
Is it a rudder? I just don't know. I mean, they kind of use it that way, but why is it so big? And males have much longer tails than females.
Balance to move out of water. I don't know. You're right, because Bubba Chunk, his tail is like, and it has the little stegosaurus plates on it. It's amazing. And why would he have that? I've never even thought about that.
Yeah, and it's maybe the bigger question is, why do they have it and the other turtles have comparatively very short tails?
Mm-hmm. All right. You ready to move on to Patreon real quick?
I'm ready to move on to Patreon real quick.
Patreon. There's a lot of super chats coming in.
Okay. Thank you guys for letting me geek out with you for a second. What'd you think of that?
Tell us
Did you know about that before?
Patreon real quick.
Patreon is amazing. So much of the cool stuff we've been able to do with this channel, the equipment that we have to film some really cool new stuff, the places we've been able to go, like to Nerd and to Florida and places like that, those have been funded by Patreon. Patreon has given us so many capabilities we wouldn't have had without them. And as our way of saying thank you, we have all sorts of cool features. Please check out our Patreon. I think you can see it there on the side. But among those features is that you can just submit questions for our live streams, and I answer all of them every week.
Yep. Perfect. David Chick said, is there any way to keep 2 morning geckos and not end up with a bunch of morning geckos?
Yeah.
And separate?
Well, that would be a way. Or just don't provide a situation where the eggs can incubate, but they will lay eggs.
So you're just killing the eggs?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not a great option, but that is a way.
Sean P says, I'm planning to build a tropical bioactive. I want to get it established before I put the animal in it. What do I feed the cleanup crew while I'm getting it set up and as a supplement to the poop from the animal?
That is a fantastic question.
Yeah.
So there are lots of like bioactive boosters and little like foods, cleanup crew cuisine, I think it's called. Is that from Josh's Frogs or
Could you
Pangea?
put in some of your like table scraps, like old veggies and stuff?
You could put a little bit of that, but that might mold and things. So, but yes, I mean there's a lot of things that are options.
Cool. The Lost Potato said, do you think that reptiles are starting to be domesticated? Take the bearded dragon, for example. If you look at the 6 traits of domestication, we already have a steady supply of their food. They have a fast growth rate. We captive breed them. They have a reasonable disposition and low panic levels. The only thing they don't fit into is having a social structure, but this can't apply to most reptiles. They haven't shown signs of domestication syndrome besides morphs, but yet again, they don't develop in the same way as mammals. So I believe that technically reptiles would be considered domesticated, but domestication only really applies well to mammals.
Yeah, domestication, another part of it is breeding for things like personality traits for that calmness. And the thing about bearded dragons is that might just be sort of the way that they were in the wild. I'm not sure. It would be interesting to see how much different our current bearded dragon stock is in terms of how comfortable it is around people versus what you would call like an F1 bearded dragon, which would be a captive bred bearded dragon to wild caught parents, to see like are there big changes in temperament or not. And I would say if not, then they're not really domesticated by most definitions of the word.
Interesting. Anthony says, hey there, my friends. I don't believe that many of the species are in the reptile hobby, but if at some point Varanus sparnus, the world's smallest varanid, becomes available, captive bred, do you think it could be the best pet monitor?
No. There are some really little monitors that are available, captive bred. The thing is, my biggest complaint with Ackies is that they're a little bit too small. And so if they were a little bit bigger, I think they'd be an even neater pet. Of course, they would be easier if they're smaller.
How big would you want an Ackie to be?
I would probably want an Ackie to be about 1.5 times the size of an Ackie.
So what's another animal?
Bearded dragon size.
That's what I was
with a longer tail. Or the size of a blue tongue. Mm-hmm. Something like that would be maybe the length of a blue tongue, not the girth. Mass of a blue tongue. Because a monitor with the body mass of a blue tongue would actually be a pretty good size monitor. Yeah. But something that size would be really, really perfect. Except for it'd be a little bit larger enclosure, a little bit more food, but you got to do a cost benefit analysis. Morning geckos are much easier to keep than Ackies, but Ackies are a better pet. Even if morning geckos happen to be monitors, they're just not. They're not Ackies. They're rad, but they're not Ackies.
John Godfrey said the awesome Starry Night Reed frog tank Clint built got me thinking. Has that come out?
Yes, it has. Oh. But there is a full video about Starry Night Reed frogs tomorrow.
You didn't keep it secret. Good job. Look forward to that Starry Night Reed frog video. It's fun. Anyway, since tree frogs and dart frogs generally seem less adapted to swimming than other types of frogs, are their keepers required to set up a paludarium in a special way to prevent potential stress or drowning?
So is it dart frogs?
Since tree frogs and dart frogs generally seem less adapted.
Tree frogs generally rock at swimming. They're usually great at it. The Starry Night Reed frogs, for example, great swimmers. They swim phenomenally, like frogs. But dart frogs are not good swimmers. If you notice, they don't have webbed feet in the back. They drown for sure. And so if you're thinking about setting up a paludarium for dart frogs, probably don't. Yeah, no, in fact, definitely don't. Your frogs will die in there. That's what will happen. You can have a water feature, but the water can't be deep enough that they can't walk through it, because they are not good swimmers and they will die.
Good answer. Sorry, I'm grabbing Martha because she is ready to get out of that seat.
Yeah.
She's been snacking and snacking and snacking. We gotta clean
She's
her up
been
a little bit.
snacking. Oh, yes, indeed. Has anybody been saying anything about the snapping turtles? I want to know what you guys thought.
Let's see. Hedrigal said if can you read these for me?
Okay, so if it's Megalania, Uranus,
Priscus.
we're still alive.
Would it be the best pet reptile?
Also, in the off chance there is no, could we talk about the biggest land lizard ever? So, probably not a very good pet reptile. And when it comes to the biggest lizard ever, did they say land lizard?
Yeah, land lizard.
The biggest land lizard. Let me make sure I've got the biggest land lizard ever. I don't know too much about it off the top of my head, is the reality.
Hey, you messy girl. Oh, she hates it.
Okay. Yep. So this, I don't know too much about Megalania, except it's just an absolutely colossal veranda. Here, look. Yeah, it looks like they've been extinct for the last 50,000 years. It's an Australian monitor. Here, let's give you some idea about size. Holy smokes, 23 feet long.
Is that a real lizard?
Yeah.
That's alive?
Yep, but it's been extinct, but really not for all that long.
Wow.
That's awesome. And it's interesting that would be a mainland lizard.
Yeah.
That says a lot about, what was available to eat probably in Australia. That's a kangaroo eater right there. It was swallowing kangaroos whole.
Betty Morgan said, how much difference is there between captive-born bred, and multi-generation captive-born bred tegus and monitors?
Okay. Not a lot. Not a whole lot. So here would be the big difference between captive-born and captive-bred. Captive-born are individuals that, the eggs were laid after the adults came into captivity, but the eggs were fertilized before the animals came into captivity. Okay, and so in the wild, the parents bred, but then a gravid female was brought into captivity. She laid eggs. Somebody incubated them. Captive-born. Captive-bred means I was able to figure out how to breed the parents, and the parents did well in captivity. And so there are a few important differences there. The first one being that you were able to successfully keep that species in captivity if they were captive bred. Captive born means maybe you only kept them successfully for like a few weeks. She dumped the eggs and maybe died. And maybe you don't know anything actually about the captive care of this animal. You just happen to have some that have spent their entire lives now in captivity, but you don't know how to keep them. Maybe nobody knows how to keep them. The other thing is certainly no guarantee that anybody knows how to breed them. And so you don't have any guarantees that, if they're captive bred, then at least somebody knows what to do to produce these in captivity. And their parents are examples of individuals that behaviorally could be bred in captivity. And so they'd be a really good candidates for possible breeders down the road because, they come from a line of animals that will breed in captivity. Captive born, you've got none of those guarantees. But it's in terms of temperament, even the tegus they catch out of the wild down in the Everglades, with just a little bit of interaction, they usually seem to mellow out pretty nicely. The big thing about getting a wild caught one, so what I'm saying is tegus, it just seems to be part of their personality that they mellow out pretty nice, even if they're wild caught. The big thing though about that, and I think getting a wild caught tegu out of the Everglades is a great way to get a tegu. The big thing to be aware of is you're going to have to be interacting with this lizard while it is still a wild terror beast, which is extremely powerful and big and full of weapons, versus when it was a baby, which is what you do as with a captive bred when it really can't do you any harm.
Yeah. This is a really interesting question. Betty Morgan, concerning invasive species in Florida, don't some of the invasive species come in on debris from hurricanes? If an invasive species colonizes an area without human intervention, shouldn't we let nature decide if they thrive or die out? Isn't that how species come and go in a natural world?
That is something that doesn't get discussed often enough.
Yeah.
Because it is entirely plausible that the green iguanas, for example, in Florida, are, they're a naturally occurring colonization. Okay, because their wild type range. I mean, they could be blown up by a hurricane fairly easily on debris, like you were discussing, and then establish themselves. In fact, it may be a situation with the green iguanas that they periodically colonize the southeastern United States, and then a real solid cold snap goes through and wipes them out, and they recolonize again later.
Mm-hmm.
And so yes, some of these, and here's kind of the weird thing when it comes to conservation is the fact that colonization events occur, right? And that shifts ecosystems when something new comes in and changes the balance of the ecosystem. That is part of nature. Ecosystems have always shifted, and probably for the last few centuries, the biggest cause of these colonization events have been humans. And so we've been trying to minimize our impact. But kind of what we've done is like we picked a year, like, okay, as of the year 1600, nothing should ever change again.
Yeah.
And we've been trying to battle those changes, and that's maybe not entirely reasonable or historically consistent with what has been going on. Yeah. That's a weird that's a difficult kind of gray area when it comes to our concept of conservation, because the reality is extinctions are natural too, not on the scale that humans have assisted with, but some extinctions are going to happen always, with or without human interaction.
Aquarimax Pets, Russ Wilson. Said, just wanted to thank you, Jason and Michelle, for collaborating with me on the Tailless Whip Scorpion video. It was great fun. Incidentally, it sent a wave of viewers my way as well.
Oh, that's fantastic. I've been curious. Just so you all know, we did film more than one video with Russ when he came here, and I just recently got to see another one of those. And Russ, I want to talk to you about doing more soon. What do you guys think about us doing budgie parakeets? Russ has one, and it talks, and it would be amazing. And I think we need to cover some reasonable pet dinosaurs.
Yeah. Let's see. So we have.
Did we get through all of Patreon? All right, a ton of super chats.
Here we go.
Thank you guys. Keep them coming.
We're going to do a lightning round. Do you know what time it is? It's 1:14 already.
Holy smokes. Okay. Well, this is part of a 6 hours.
Stop it. Matt, a.k.a. Hops and Pipes, said, recently found your channel. Keep up the great job. I have 2 young boys, Luke 6 and Atticus 2. What would be a good pet lizard for younger kids?
Atticus? Like after Atticus Finch? Okay, so what would be great pet lizards for?
For young kids.
For young kids? So we have a video about 5 best pet reptiles for kids that I'd recommend. A lot of it depends on how much are you going to be a part of this.
Yeah.
And how old and how responsible are they? But I think on that list we have blue-tongued skinks and we have leopard gecko. Is that how it is? Is that how it is?
Oh my.
So those are a couple of them to consider. Blue-tongue's going to be better for handling. Leopard gecko, the care on a leopard gecko is fairly simple, and so they could do a lot of it, and they're pretty resilient. But they're more fragile with handling. And again, with any reptile, you definitely need to be the overseer, and I'm sure you plan on that. Yeah. But I just want to make sure that's clear.
Victoria Usher said, I love you guys, and you always cheer me up. I have just ordered 2 of your t-shirts as a belated birthday present to myself for my birthday on the 28th last month.
That's my birthday.
That's Clinty's birthday, January 28th.
Happy birthday
Happy
to
birthday,
you.
and I'm so thankful you got those t-shirts. They're awesome. We really, really like the t-shirts. William has done a great job with most
Yeah, and
of
we've
those
got
designs,
we got a few new ones, even
yep.
some that Michelle did.
Yep.
One that was done by fans.
Yep. And I'm really seriously working hard on t-shirt designs for the room. So if you have ideas, please send them my way.
Yeah, I have a thought.
What?
Oh, this is crazy. But the room shirt will probably only be available at the room.
Yep.
But maybe if people would come via Zoom, we could send them a special link so they could.
Maybe.
What do you guys think?
We shall see.
What do you guys?
You Iron said, Clint, we need your thoughts on dino nuggets. And
Dino
then somebody
nuggets.
else said, off camera, it's probably all that he eats.
Oh, I can give you my thoughts completely about dino nuggets.
Yep.
Okay, imagine if you will that you took a dinosaur for chickens, fall right into the middle of the dinosaur clade, and you took the meat of dinosaurs, and then you shaped the meat of dinosaurs into the shape of a dinosaur, and then you ate it. You're eating real dinosaurs. They're real dinosaur nuggets.
Do you love them?
Oh, yeah. Well,
Clinty
here's the thing.
really likes chicken nuggets.
But yeah, here's the thing though. Like, you pay a premium for the dinosaur shaped ones. And
Yeah.
so we usually go for the
Non-dinosaur.
dinosaur egg shaped one.
Okay. Melvin Furman says, Hiya, Clint. I'm getting into books and wanted to see if you could recommend books to learn about animals. Field guides. That's all.
Oh, I love me some field guides. Yeah, I grew up reading the National Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Reptiles and Amphibians. It was my favorite book and my traveling companion on road trips.
Yep.
And I have the very same one today, and I consult it all the time. It's really cool, and just field guides to other places are awesome. Let's see. I grew up with a subscription to Zoo Books, which is their kind of magazine sized books, but they're full of really cool
Clint's
information
mom
for younger
kept
children.
them, and now Owen loves to read them.
Yep. And now
And
my
some
children
of the
destroy them.
information's out of date, though.
Probably,
They're
but not
old.
tremendously. A lot of this stuff is pretty basic information about them.
Let's see. Sharian, again, sorry, Sharian. Have you interacted with Scolecophus Atrocynictus?
Oh, it's a centipede eating snake.
Sorry. I love my little eater of centipedes and champion of coolness.
Yeah, here, let me show you guys a picture of this. Because this is a snake, actually, I discovered at an expo
We gotta hurry. This
Maybe-
little one's getting tired.
maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And let's see here. And it was unbelievable looking.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
And let me make sure. Centipede eating snake images. So I believe. Give me a picture. I'm getting horrible pictures of centipedes eating snakes. Here we go. Yeah. Okay. Look at this thing. So they're very small, but I found it at an expo and I was like, holy moly, this thing is so cool. That dorsal stripe is almost like bright neon pink, and then it's got these black and yellow bands. It was one of the most glorious looking snakes I'd ever seen in my life. And I'm like, oh my gosh, and I'm not into impulse buys of reptiles at all. But I was like, I've never seen this before. And so I asked the person, I'm like, can you give me a little bit of care information? The person selling it didn't know anything about this snake, which is kind of a red flag.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to wait. So I consulted a friend of mine who's a biologist and he knows more about reptiles than I do. And he goes, oh, I think that one eats centipedes. And it does. Okay. Yeah. And not only do they eat centipedes, but they only eat specific groups of centipedes. So, I know most of you have huge quantities of centipedes just laying around to feed the stuff, but it has to be the right centipedes. And so, unless you have that ready to go, like this is a horrible choice of a snake for you. There are a few people that like breed centipedes and can keep them, but man, you start doing that. Don't start with the snake. It'll be dead by the time you get your centipede colony up and going.
Critique said, keep up. This is a super chat. Keep up the good work, Clint.
Thank you very much. Critique. Thank you so much, Critique.
Hopefully I'm saying that right. Anthony says, well, my friend, this is another super chat. Since you brought it up, why is the sperm whale your favorite whale?
I was so hoping you'd ask. The sperm whale is so dang rad. Let's see here. For any of you unfamiliar with the sperm whale has a colossal melon. Okay, and the melon on whales is usually used as part of echolocation. Oh, Theo got freaked out, spilled water because he probably got snapped at by a snapping turtle. Don't worry, the snapping turtle can't.
Theo just spilled my water bottle.
Knock it off, Theo.
It's been a crazy live stream. A lot of noise, a lot of screaming, a lot of kids, a lot of dogs, a lot of turtles, a lot of snakes. This is real life. Sometimes we hop off of live streams and I get embarrassed because I'm like, I'm being so vulnerable. Like I'm letting you into my home and you are seeing real life. We're not faking. Our kids are screaming, dogs are running. Like this is for real. And thanks for joining.
We pipe in the baby screams. Oh, there's the baby. The only simulated sound is
Super chat.
okay.
So yeah, thanks for liking us, even though that it's a little crazy.
Now, what was I talking about? Sperm whales.
Yeah.
Why they're so rad? So, sperm whales hunt one of the coolest creatures in the world, which are giant squid, and that on its face is amazing. But how they do it is even more amazing, because turns out giant squid live so deep that it's only been in the last few years that we have ever seen a live giant squid. They're way down in the deep. And the sperm whale is a mammal that breathes air off of the surface. Now, in order to power a mammal to dive that deep, normally you'd have to swim, which means you're going to need a lot of energy, which means you're going to need to do a lot of cellular respiration, which means you're going to need to use a lot of oxygen. Which means if you've got 2 lungs full of oxygen, when you dive that deep, you're also fighting against that buoyancy all the way down. And that is really difficult to do. That is energetically extremely costly. Well, sperm whales are called sperm whales because whalers, when they would cut that melon open, they found it was full of this jelly that they thought, as people who'd been on a ship for a while, looked suspiciously like sperm. And so anyway, that jelly though is what we call stinking rad. Okay, and it changes state and density at a temperature very close to the whale's body temperature. So the whale, what it can do, when they dive, they actually compress their lungs and dump the air so they're not fighting their buoyancy all the way down there. That is just a modified swim bladder after all. And so they actually exhale on the way down. So they super saturate their cells with oxygen, but then they breathe out. They change their body temperature for the melon a little bit by regulating their blood flow, sort of like the oryx with its nose.
That's so amazing. To
cool it. And then that causes them to just fall in the water.
Because it gets so heavy.
Because it becomes so dense relative to the water. And so that causes them to descend.
That's so amazing.
And so without swimming down, they just fall down into the depths. Then they swim around a little bit down there because they're hunting giant squid with echolocation.
That's so rad.
They, when it's time to come back up, they up their body temperature to the melon a little bit, changing the state, causing it to become buoyant again. And whoop, up they go. How rad is this creature? This creature is so rad. Plus, I think it is the largest predator of large prey in the world. Because things like blue whales are bigger, but they hunt prey.
Yeah.
The orca hunts giant prey, and the largest male orcas, not orcas, sorry, the largest male sperm whales
Yeah, I was a little confused.
near the end of their lives when they get to be their biggest. These are the only ones that ever do this. They go down to Antarctica, and under Antarctica, they hunt an even larger cephalopod, not by length, but by mass, called a colossal squid. And the colossal squid has a bigger mantle, and more importantly, on its arms, instead of suction cups, it has swiveling hooks. And
The ocean is just made up of aliens.
oh, absolutely. And originally, the only reason that we knew about colossal squid even existing was because we would find dead big male sperm whales that had died and washed up on shore. And sometimes we would find the beaks of these colossal squid in their gut, and we would find these swiveling hooks embedded in their skin.
Is it true that colossal squid, if you were to chop them up to eat calamari, the calamari would be the size of a tractor?
That is my understanding. Tractor tire.
Well, like what kind of tractor? Because there's some massive tractors out there.
And there's riding lawnmowers.
Exactly.
So somewhere in there.
Yeah.
But big. Really big.
So
and
rad.
really hardcore.
Yep.
And anyway, sperm whales be the coolest.
Yep. Okay. Sean P. sent a super duper chat.
Super duper chat.
Happy weekend from South Carolina from Sean and Nicholas. Plus,
Good luck
Good luck.
with the legislation.
Oh, yeah. Plus Crunch, Ball Python, Sandstorm Ball Python, Linguini, Corn Snake, and Draco Cresty. Keep doing everything you're doing.
Thank you so much. I love all those names. Those
Yeah,
are
I love
terrific.
them. I
At
love
first I was like, I
Linguini.
haven't heard of the crunch ball python. And then I'm like,
I want to name one of our snakes Linguini. That's so cute. We should name him Linguini, Fettuccine, Spaghetti. That's so cute. Because when you're noodle with a head. Ray's Wildlife said, "Hi, Clint. I'm getting Pictus geckos this year, and I need someone to nerd out with me. I'm super excited. Can you talk about them for a minute?"
Pictus geckos are stinking rad, and I want to talk about a couple things that are really cool about Pictus geckos. One of them being they lay circular hard-shelled eggs, which is really cool, but also be careful because you could break them if you expect them to be soft. But another really awesome thing is their skin is hydrophobic, which means it repels water like oil. And so especially while they're young, but potentially while they're adults also, if they fall into water, they just sit on the surface of the water. They don't break through the surface tension. Pictus geckos.
Really?
Yeah, how cool is that?
That's crazy.
It's worth geeking out about.
More?
Yeah.
Captain Moby, our friend Doug, said, "I'm going to do my best to be your first customer again for the grand reopening
Yes,
of the
yeah.
room."
He
How
was
cool would that
he was
be?
our first ever person at the Reptile Room. I think he was our first person on a Thursday morning
Yep.
at the Reptile Room. He was like our first repeat person at the Reptile Room,
Yeah.
and now he might he'll have to be the first one. So yeah, I'm thinking in March if COVID continues to be on decline. So it is right now about where it was in October for that month we were open and on the way down.
Mm-hmm.
So if it keeps going down, we'll be open.
Yep. Exciting stuff coming for the future. Doug, thanks for being there. It's always so good to see you.
Oh yeah.
And your wife, Julie, I think. You Iron said, "Clint, for the love of all that is good, do you have the Zoo Books Tiger poster?"
Tiger poster?
Did they sell that at like the Scholastic Book Fair as kids? Because I remember everyone buying a tiger poster at the Scholastic Book Fair.
All I have are the big, in the middle of every Zoo Books, there's like a full page picture of something cool. And I probably have the Tigers Zoo Book, but I think as a kid though, I might have had that. In fact, I'm pretty sure I did have that tiger poster on my wall.
Really?
Yes. Because I think they sent it to us as part of our subscription. I think it was my grandma on my mom's side, who is my only grandma still alive. I think she was one of the main people that would get me a Zoo Book subscription, though I'm sure
That's
my parents
cute.
did as well.
Yeah.
But I think oftentimes she got me Zoo Books.
Cute.
And,
I love that. That's
in fact,
cute.
I think it was mostly her.
Cute.
Sorry, my parents often watch this, so if I'm wrong about that, I'll correct it next week. But I think it was always her,
Let's
or
see.
almost always.
Lorenzo Canio Kenneal, yeah. Hi, Clint. I have a baby Western hognose, and he shed perfectly, but forgot about his head. Do you know an easy way to get stuck shed off of a baby's head?
Yes. So, I mean, it's not easy. Heads are kind of the worst because you need a place to get started, and you don't really want to go backwards, take it off like a hood. And but what you can do when you want to get it, you can soak them. What I find for helping a snake that has had a bad shed, and I live in the desert, so it does happen from time to time, is you can get let the snake soak a little bit. Be careful because it's a baby hognose snake. You don't want it to drown or anything. So just put it in a little bit of water, or maybe even just in kind of like a small container with some damp or pretty wet paper towels, and let it. In fact, that's probably what I would do for a hog. I'm usually talking about what I do for ball pythons. I've never had a hognose have a bad shed, but what I would do probably for a little hog like that is I would get a little container like this one that I'm moving this ball python around in. And I would put some wet paper towels in there, like not all the way dripping, but pretty darn wet. And I would just let it crawl around in there for a while, and that skin's gonna get soft, and it's gonna give it a lot of stuff it can push on. And then if need be, what you can do too is let it come, and if for some reason it's like they can tell you're trying to help them.
That's what Jessica was saying too.
Oh, big time. And you can put your fingers just kind of like this, not squeezing its head, but applying a little bit of pressure, and you will see them like, oh, thank goodness, I've been looking for something like this, and they'll start trying to work.
Because it comes from their mouth.
Yeah, it'll come from the lips back.
Interesting. I would totally think that you could just pull it off like a hood, but now that I think about it, it would be pulling the scales up.
Yeah, weird direction. It could.
Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Thorcock says, I'm new to ball pythons and I have a question of feeder size. I have her on hopper mice right now and she is young. Is that too small? She's probably 150 grams.
150 grams on hoppers? Yeah, probably a mouse about the diameter of the widest part of your snake would be just fine.
That's a good rule of thumb. I like that.
Yeah, that doesn't apply to every snake, but that's probably pretty good for boas and pythons generally.
Awesome. We're all caught up.
Holy smokes!
That was a lot. That was fun.
Boy, we've been cruising.
Yeah.
But that time really flew by quickly. Let me get the snapping turtle out one more time just to see if I can get him in a different mood, because I think he was biting at Theo. That seems like a step in the right direction. I've been keeping him in water and everything, trying to make things as normal for him as I can. Try to bite me.
Theo.
Try to bite me.
Don't go over there, buddy.
You'll at least get some open eyeballs.
Can't get him too close because he's dripping.
Yeah. Hey. Nope. He's pleasant today. He was just in a really cranky mood that day. Theo, you might want to keep your distance. This is what you call a nose biter. Well, thank you guys did another one just come in?
Yeah, the Karate Kid 002 just sent $5 super chat.
Thank you so much, Karate Kid.
002.
002, yeah, to not confuse you with Karate Kid 001.
Yeah.
This is Will Smith's son. What is his name? Anyway, I've had such a good time. Thank you guys for geeking out with me and with Leisha. Thanks for putting up with the chaos of life.
Yep.
And as always, like and subscribe, and we hope to see you real soon.
Bye, guys.